Hello, and we are finishing up this week's comic book reviews. It's pretty late, so I kind of want to get this over with, but I hope I'm not rushing through because we have some good comics to cover in this part, starting with Red Sonja issue number 2, and this one took a while to come out. Yeah, I think 2, maybe 3 months since the last issue. It seems like it's been forever, but the last issue left us with Sonja discovering that the new kingdom might not be as benevolently peaceful as once thought. And we begin this issue with her slicing one of the King's Guard in two, from nape to chops, pretty much it looks like. And we open this book with a prolonged fight scene that I actually find kind of hard to follow. And this trend continues for the second big fight scene in this book. The layouts of these just aren't exactly clear whether you're supposed to read them left to right or up to down. I could just show you I'll show you the other one when we get to it, but a lot of the fight scenes have that sort of thing where there's a big background, but it doesn't give you any insight on the actual direction that your eye should go, whether it should be this way and then this way, or this way and then this way. And the actions aren't that clear about it either. But after defeating the police, essentially, Sonja then ventures deeper into the kingdom in order to find the general, and eventually find a king to find out why Herkinia is conquering so many lands and having all these kind of unjust rules and becoming more of an authoritarian state. However, this leads Sonja to a town with a theater in it, and we get a peek behind the curtain, as we also learn that the king, or under the king's orders, a lot of the art is being censored and turned into a sort of propaganda. And this is against, of course, the playwright's wishes. And she even finds it, this is the playwright here, it's against her wishes to change her art, and she also finds it offensive that they're turning their enemies, the people that they've conquered, into parodies, and it's making the work much more propagandic and it's like inhuman and offensive in her mind, and so she doesn't like performing them anymore. Sonja interrupts the show when she finds out when the play personally offends her, when they make a mockery of the king that she liked on stage. She jumps down, removes the offending costume, and then gets pelted by the audience with rotten fruit and stuff. And this is the other kind of big spread that I found really hard to follow, other than that this is the beginning and this is the end of it. And so then, after this, Sonja teams up with the playwright, with the theater people, in order to fight off the crowds enraged by the interruption of their propaganda, and eventually finds herself in the court of the king, the Falcon King, where she gets to finally give him a piece of her mind and show him what she thinks exactly of all the changes he's made. Aside from those layout problems, I like the book overall. I do like the coloring. I do like the art. It's bright. It's colorful. Sonja has bright red hair, which I like. Greens pop. The reds pop. Just everything about this. I quite like the art. I still think in some panels Sonja looks a little too cute. I don't know. Like too... I don't know. Baby-faced is the word. I don't know. She looks too young, maybe? I don't know. I kind of like a harder warrior look for Sonja, and it's going to take some getting used to. Kind of the cute, younger-looking rounder. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Anyway, aside from those little niggling issues, the layout thing isn't really niggling. It's a pretty big deal. But aside from that and the rounder face, I guess I kind of like where this is going. I like how it's Sonja having to deal with a propaganda machine, essentially, that she doesn't like. She usually doesn't have like a mandate of the people, but the people usually like her, or they agree with what she's doing in a way. They think, oh, it's necessary. They regard her, I guess, as some sort of arbiter of justice. So I like seeing that she's the only one, or one of the very few, who can see that something is wrong. That the king has so warped the land that they don't even realize that they are under the state of authoritarianism, and that they are committing these atrocities. I think it's definitely relevant these days, especially if you listen to a lot of political rhetoric from at least one side of the American political theater these days. So yeah, I'm probably gonna keep on picking this one up. Next up, we have Clean Room, issue number 5, which continues to just be kind of really, really disturbing. More so than you. It just keeps on getting worse and worse. Not worse as in quality, worse as in the disturbing bits. So we have the continuation of the storyline with Astrid and Terry stuck in the clean room after that demon killed itself in the last issue, and they are trapped in the room as Astrid fears that if they were to leave, the demon would escape, and we don't want that happening now, do we? But she is not the only one dealing with demons. Chloe has also finally met her inner demon, which introduces itself as Spark, and is honestly not as scary as initially thought. He seems kind of timid. He seems like a very Gail Simone character, a kind of mix between Ragdoll and Strix, I guess. It's not a completely alien character type for Gail Simone to write, but I think it's done pretty well here, in that he is a literal demon who possesses people. He's just not that good at it, or he's not as malevolent as he used to be after a exorcism. I can't think. It's way too late. An exorcism took away some of his anger, and now he's just kind of an anxiety demon instead of an evil demon, which is kind of a funny twist. And then the Astrid thing just keeps on getting worse as Terry then gets possessed by the demon. And, oh man, and Gail Simone does this amazing thing where the whole book, the first kind of like 2 parts of this book, Gail like frames that Astrid is going up against this much more powerful, much more evil figure than herself, kind of makes her out to be a hero of the story. And then by the end, she reminds us that even faced against something more evil and more dangerous, Astrid is still incredibly cruel, and not a pleasant person. That she is by no means a hero. She might be the lesser of 2 evils in one case, but she is still cruel. She is still ruthlessly pragmatic, and she still exploits people. That's really cool. I think that is real talent to make those graduations of good and evil, where you can have a character doing something heroic, and still making the reader fear them and think of them as villainous or as crossing a line. So that's really cool, really well done. Clean Room is creepy, but also there are charming parts. There's also a bit where Astrid sends one of her fixers in order to fix the Hollywood problem that sprung up in the last issue, which is sexy and threatening at the same time, and I can't show it because it takes place in a hot tub and there's some nudity. Anyway, yeah, Clean Room is still amazing. One of the best horror comics I've probably ever picked up. Moving on to Bitch Planet, issue number 7. Finally getting back to the main story. So not a character backstory piece. This is getting right into the present. And and we're reintroduced to the main plot of the story, with an incredibly just powerful scene of back on Earth. These kids, all three of them black kids, I guess they're technically trespassing, but it's pretty benign. They're just crossing over this field in order to get somewhere faster, kind of a shortcut, and they are ruthlessly mowed down by the authorities, who really couldn't care less. Just 1, 2, 3 dead, and then the cop walks away from a station, just doesn't care, lets the machine file the report for him. Which is, oof, that is a hard scene to swallow. But then we get a bit of a recap from the authorities still, as this guy, I forget his name, he's just the father, I guess, that's how he's introduced. As the father reminds us that they are building a megaton stadium on Bitch Planet, that they are sending Mako's father up to lead that project to build the stadium, and that they are not telling Mako's father that Mako has died. And so we see the let's see if I can show this page. I think I can show this page. So we see the men go up to Bitch Planet, get acclimated, and we were reintroduced to Mako's father, who is still doesn't get respect. And through this whole comic, even though he is put in a position of power, he is the kind of lead architect of this project, he is not respected because, I have to assume, because of his race. Because everyone else he works with is a white man, he's Asian, and so there's still he's still a weaker layer of masculinity than like the straight white man, top of the food chain sort of thing in this world. We also catch up, of course, with the prisoners, and we see Cam running this shit. Cam has a spy on the inside as one of the guards who she convinced to work for her, and we see her get in a conversation, learning about what's going on, learning about the project they're digging, and we just see her running this shit. She's taking back control the best she can. We then see Whitney's punishment, Whitney getting tortured or interrogated, kind of re-educated, I guess is the best way to put it, for the death of Mako. And we see her now on the other side of Bitch Planet. She used to be the warden, and now we see her getting punished for her own version of non-compliance, and being sent to the other side of that grind. We have a really touching scene, really touching bonding scene between Cam and Polly. Penny. Sorry, it's Penny Roll, and I just combined it into Polly. And to Penny, which is a shower scene that I'm hesitant to show on YouTube. Can I show this? Actually, I can show this page. I can show the top half of this page. As they're bonding in the shower over, again, like over the odds that they are building this stadium, that one of them has already died, and that even though they are overpowered at this point, they can't give up, and that there is still a way to win. And then we go back to seeing kind of Cam control this shit. We get another scene of Dr. Mako. Is it Dr. Mako? I can't keep all these names straight. But I guess that's the gist of it, is we see how things are settling now. Now that there are new people on Bitch Planet, there are more men. They're building the stadium. They're getting ready for the final kind of the climax of this arc. And yeah, we're seeing our heroes get a little more power. And again, just seeing more and more into this world, this incredibly dystopian, incredibly scary kind of alternate universe or alternate future that Bitch Planet presents. Just still great, important book. Really loving everything about it. And the last comic this week is Sex Criminals, issue 14, and it took so long. Actually, I just noticed something really cool about this video, is that all of these books, besides have women on the cover, kind of front and center, women on the cover, and have female protagonists, like big, main, strong female protagonists. That's pretty cool. Thumbs up for comic books. Anyway, actually, that is really cool that all these books are like strongly female led. So, jumping back into Sex Criminals, it has been way too long, and this is probably the weakest single issue of Sex Criminals yet. And it's mainly because and like the book uses this term too. The book acknowledges that it has a very masturbatory scene in it. You catch up with John and Susie as they're settling back into their relationship. It's been rocky. It's been up and down. But there is moments here where, and a lot of this book, not the masturbatory bits, but the main thing now in this book seems to be whether or not Susie is still interested, whether Susie is getting bored of John in a way, and she's trying to keep that spark aflame or something as she starts her new job, and she's bored. And that's kind of the big thread here, is Susie bored, and what does Susie do when she's bored? But then we have this scene here, and it lasts 4 pages in the middle of this scene where Susie and Anna confront each other, where the book goes meta. We just see Chip and Matt talking to themselves, to the reader, about how they want this scene to go, and it's 4 pages of Matt trying to excuse himself for not being able to write this scene, and they call themselves out on it as completely masturbatory, but that doesn't excuse the fact that they spent a good chunk of this book trying to justify that they couldn't get a scene to work. And they, again, like, Matt totally rationalizes it, but it's not an excuse. Acknowledging that you have a problem is not solving that problem. And it's done funnily, it's done in a very Sex Criminals way, but it's still what it is. It's still an excuse for not doing this. Anyway, other than that, I don't want to say by the number Sex Criminals, but other than that, it is the same Sex Criminals that if you are 14 issues in, then you already know and love. Letter Section is back. Letter Section is still the best one in comic books. Best as in most entertaining, I guess. I think the best one is now Bitch Planet. Now has the best letter section and the best back matter overall, but most entertaining, still Sex Criminals. And the book is still, as, even though we're getting deeper and deeper into the whole sex police thing, this is still mainly about a relationship. It's mainly about John and Susie and how they relate to each other and how their relationship grows and develops. And I like how they haven't lost track of that, even though they're introducing all of these new characters and everything to the universe. Again, probably the weakest single issue of Sex Criminals so far, but it's still an episode. It's still an issue of Sex Criminals, so it's still one of the best books to come out this month. And that is that. And that is it for this week in comic books. If you're interested in the Marvel or DC books I reviewed this week, those are in parts 2 and 1 respectively, so go check those out if you are so inclined. If not, I want to thank you for watching this video anyway. If you liked it, please rate it. If you feel like it, please subscribe. Any comments, questions, book recommendations, anything whatsoever, please leave them in the comments, and I will get right to them and start a back and forth, a real discussion between us, just you and me. And yeah, that's about it for this week. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for putting up with me. I just want to go to sleep. But thank you for putting up with me and these kind of tired reviews. And I hope that I did well enough for you to want to join me next week for some more comic book reviews.